Dramatic music swells, cold wind sound effects. Distant holiday music fading into tension. If you've ever watched someone you love get hurt by the people who were supposed to protect them, and felt that burning rage in your chest, this story is going to destroy you. An 18-year-old boy, shivering in nothing but a t-shirt on Thanksgiving, locked outside in 15-degree weather while his own mother sat inside laughing over turkey. What his grandfather did next didn't just end the abuse. It burned their perfect suburban life to the ground. Stick around for the full story. 025. If you've ever been betrayed by family, if you've ever felt powerless watching someone you love suffer, smash that like button right now and subscribe. Drop a in the comments if you believe in karma. Let's get into it. 045. My name is Earl Thompson, 68 years old, widower, retired factory worker, and on Thanksgiving Day, I became something I never thought I'd be again. A man with nothing left to lose. 6 months earlier, I buried my wife Martha, the only person who could ever calm the storm in me. She was the glue that held our fractured family together. Our daughter Leona had married Wilbur Henderson 3 years ago, a loud, controlling man who always smiled a little too wide for company and showed his true face behind closed doors. I'd had doubts from the start, but Leona was happy, or so she said. And then there was Amos, my grandson, smart, quiet, kind-hearted, the boy who reminded me so much of Martha. It hurt. That Thanksgiving, I decided to surprise them. Snow was coming down hard. I packed gifts, a real leather baseball glove and those comic books Amos used to love. The drive from my place to Cincinnati felt longer than usual. My old Chevy fought the roads while Led Zeppelin played low on the radio. Sound of wipers, tires on snow. I tried calling ahead. No answer. Strange for a holiday. I pulled into their Maple Grove subdivision around 3:15 p.m. The house looked perfect. Warm lights, smoke from the chimney, holiday decorations, Norman Rockwell bullshit. Then I saw him. Amos, sitting on the front steps. No coat, thin shirt, jeans dusted with snow, his whole body shaking violently, lips blue. I slammed the truck into park and ran. Amos. My voice cracked in the cold air. I ripped off my heavy winter coat and wrapped it around him. The boy was ice. Grandpa, I'm not allowed inside. Those 6 words hit harder than any punch I'd ever taken in my life. I got him into the truck, heat blasting, blankets from the emergency kit. I held his frozen hands between mine, trying to rub life back into them. He told me everything. 6:10. He'd forgotten to turn off the oven timer while basting the turkey. Slight burn on top. Wilbur lost it. Yelled that Amos ruined the holiday. Dragged him outside and locked the door. Stay out until you learn responsibility. That was at a 4.5 hours. 6:50. And it wasn't the first time. Locked in the garage overnight. Basement for 2 days. Standing outside in winter. Bruises explained away as accidents. Leona always defending it. Wilbur's just teaching him discipline. Dad, you're overreacting. I sat there listening to my grandson's voice tremble, watching him flinch at every loud sound from inside the house. The laughter, the clinking of glasses, the warmth spilling out while he nearly froze to death. Something inside me snapped, not in a loud way, in a cold, quiet, permanent way. Low, intense music. Martha would have wanted me to be diplomatic, but Martha was gone, and diplomacy had failed my grandson for 3 years. 8:50. Stay here, I told Amos. I walked up to that perfect front door and kicked it in with everything I had. Wood splintered. The sound echoed down the street. The scene inside was grotesque in its normalcy. White tablecloth, candles, Wilbur carving a fresh turkey, Leona in a new dress, their young daughter eating mashed potatoes, all of them frozen in shock. Have you lost your goddamn minds? I roared. Leona went pale. Dad, Wilbur stood up slowly, all 250 pounds of entitled rage. You're trespassing. Get out of my house. I pointed at Amos, still visible through the broken doorway, wrapped in my coat. 4.5 hours, in freezing weather, over a slightly burnt turkey, while you sat here stuffing your faces. The little girl started crying. Good. Let her see what kind of man her father really was. Wilbur stepped toward me. You don't know what it's like raising a disrespectful kid. I cut him off. I know exactly what abuse looks like. And it ends today. Leona tried to play peacemaker. Dad, please. You're making a scene. It was just discipline. Discipline? I laughed. But there was no humor in it. Locking a child outside in 15-degree weather is attempted murder where I come from. I didn't fight Wilbur physically that day. I didn't need to. The real fight was just beginning. I took Amos home with me that night. He didn't want to go at first, terrified of the consequences. But I wasn't giving him a choice. Music shifts determined building. The next weeks were a whirlwind. I documented everything. Photos of the bruises I could still see, hospital records from past accidents, texts, school counselor reports. I dug up. Amos finally opened up completely once he felt safe. I contacted Child Protective Services the very next morning. Then a lawyer, a shark who specialized in family cases. Wilbur tried to fight back, called the police claiming I kidnapped Amos. The broken door worked against him. Photos of the damage, weather records showing dangerous temperatures, and Amos's own testimony painted a very different picture. Leona showed up at my house crying, "Dad, you're tearing our family apart." I looked at her for a long time. The daughter I once carried on my shoulders. "No, Leona, you tore it apart the day you chose that man over your own son." The revenge wasn't loud. It was methodical. I helped Amos file for emancipation at 18. He moved in with me permanently. I sold some land Martha and I had kept as an investment and paid for his first year of community college in full. Wilbur's employer, a big construction firm, received an anonymous but very detailed packet about his behavior at home. Turns out domestic issues and child abuse allegations don't look great. On a site supervisor, he was let go 2 months later. Leona's perfect social media life started cracking. Neighbors talked. Parents at their daughter's school started keeping distance. Invitations to holiday parties dried up. The golden family image shattered. But the real blow came 6 months later. Pause for effect. Court date. Full custody hearing for the younger sister. Leona and Wilbur fought hard to keep the narrative that Amos was difficult and exaggerating. I brought receipts. Every single one. Teachers, doctors, neighbors who had seen Amos locked out before. Even the gas station clerk who remembered me that day. The judge didn't just rule in our favor. She eviscerated them. Supervised visitation only for Leona. Wilbur lost all parental rights. I'll never forget the look on Wilbur's face when the gavel came down. That entitled mask finally cracked. He looked small, pathetic. Leona sobbed, reached for Amos. He just looked at her with quiet sadness and said, "You chose him over me every single day, Mom. I'm done." Emotional music swell. Amos thrived with me. He's in college now, studying engineering. Still reads comic books sometimes. Though he pretends he doesn't, the nightmares are fading. He smiles more. Wilbur and Leona's marriage didn't survive. Last I heard, she's living in a small apartment, working 2 jobs, trying to rebuild a relationship with her daughter while dealing with the consequences of her choices. Some people say revenge is ugly, maybe, but watching my grandson sleep without fear for the first time in years, that felt like justice. Martha would have been proud, not of the anger, but of the fact that I finally protected what mattered most. Reflective tone. Family isn't blood. It's who shows up when it's hard, who chooses you when it costs them something. If you're watching this and you're in a situation where someone is hurting you or someone you love, document everything. Reach out for help. You don't have to stay silent. 30 to 30 extended narrative deep dive continues. Now expanding with more emotional layers, flashbacks, and tension. Let me take you back to the weeks after that Thanksgiving. Amos barely spoke the first week. He'd wake up from nightmares, checking if the doors were locked from the inside. I'd sit with him at drinking coffee, telling him stories about Martha. Slowly, he started trusting that this safety was real. I made calls. Old friends from the factory who knew judges and lawyers. I wasn't rich, but I had something more valuable. Decades of respect and people who owed me favors. Wilbur tried intimidation. Showed up at my house once. I met him on the porch with a shotgun and a calm voice. "You come near my grandson again, and we'll have a very different conversation." He left. The paper trail I built was ironclad. School records showing Amos's grades dropping during the worst periods. Medical visits. Even a neighbor who finally admitted she'd called the police on the Hendersons multiple times before. Leona tried the guilt trip multiple times. He's my son. You stopped being his mother the day you let him freeze, I replied. The court battle was brutal. Wilbur's lawyer painted Amos as troubled. I brought character witnesses, Amos's teachers, his old baseball coach, even the gas station clerk from that day, who testified about the weather conditions. When the judge read the ruling, the courtroom was silent except for Leona's crying. Climactic payoff, slow, satisfying. Wilbur stood there, red-faced, fists clenched, but powerless. All his control, all his bullying, stripped away in a public room. The man who ruled his house with fear finally tasted what it felt like to lose everything. Amos and I walked out together. He didn't look back. Wrap up. Karma doesn't always come fast. But when good people finally stand up, it hits like a freight train. Protect your family. Break the cycle. Choose courage over comfort. If this story hit you hard, drop your own family betrayal or revenge stories in the comments. I read every single one. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications. The next story is even darker. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there and protect the ones who can't protect themselves. End screen with subscribe button. Next video suggestions. Emotional music fade out.